Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. Welcome to another episode of the JAMS Football Show. Horace is not here today. Today he is on vacation doing big things out in Austria, amongst other countries. But I, one of your co-hosts, Kyle Smith, am here with a very special guest, Mr. Omar Abbassi, one of the top quarterbacks in JAMS flag football. Omar, why don't you say hi for everyone?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. How you guys doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm sure most people are doing well. This is football season. It always brings an extra element of excitement. Personally, to my life, it's just one of the most exciting times for me personally.
Yeah,
Omar, go ahead, Omar.
Nothing beats football. We play in other leagues, all of us, softball, basketball, they come and go, but really what everybody gears up for and what everybody can't wait for is the football season. So it's upon us, and I'm pretty sure everybody's excited.
Absolutely. People have always approached me, why don't you play Muslim basketball? It's a very successful league. And there's no doubt that it is. But for me, football is just, it's like nothing else.
Nothing beats football.
Absolutely. So Omar, when me and Horace decided to do this show a little less than a year ago now, you were our inspiration, because you've done the power rankings pretty much since I've gotten in the league. My first season was the 2012 season. And I would log on every now and then. I wasn't as into it as I am now, but I would always read your power rankings. So what inspired you to start doing the weekly power rankings?
Well, if it inspired you, you're probably not going to like this answer. I've always enjoyed following everything about the league and, keeping up on tabs on teams and things like that. I was actually approached by the league. They requested that I do the power rankings. And, I'm always for helping the league out any way I can. So it wasn't my idea to do them. They asked me to do them. So the last 2 years, they approached me before the season, sent me a message asking if I could do them. And I said, sure, no problem. I might just pick it up again this year. We'll see. I was thinking about it this morning. I might pick up after week 3, inshallah.
And that was my very next question, is because we haven't seen it yet this year. And, everything's been a little funky this year with the earlier start. The stats haven't been updated yet, all that's going to happen soon. But we miss yours. Me and Horace, we got our own opinions, but, the more the merrier. So.
Yeah. And the reason I thought about doing it was because I saw the site was a little slow. The only thing going on is this NWO reference here or there by Swag. Other than that, not much is going on. So I figured maybe I would just pick it up.
Yeah, I think you need to. And, once that and the stats and we got the weekly videos, by the way, one of them has just been uploaded and the other is currently in processing right now. Man, we kind of wish it was the other way around, because that game that's in processing right now is actually your big win that you had this past week. And from what you told me, you guys won on 4th down, the last play of the game, a walk-off touchdown. Was it a touchdown pass by yourself?
Yes, it was. It was to Omar.
And he's another awesome player. He's electric. He is super, super fast.
Yeah.
So I always like watching him. He is, absolutely. Yeah. And then just in a moment, we're going to get into some previous plays from your 2013 season, which was your last season with the Spartans. And this leads right into my, big first question. I want to start off with the hard question. Omar, last season, you didn't play with the Spartans. You played with Code Red. So my question is, why the team switch, and then why back to the Spartans this year?
Okay, well, at the conclusion of the 2013 season, after we lost Boonton in the playoffs, the team wanted to we're considering going in another direction at quarterback. I never actually wanted to leave the Spartans. They didn't want me to leave. But, some of the guys wanted to try somebody else at quarterback. So they wanted to have, I think, like a QB competition leading into the season, 2014. And I really didn't want to wait around for that. My knees are pretty shot. I can't do much on the defensive side of the football anymore, especially with guys on the Spartans. I would be replacing somebody that's better than me on the defensive side of the ball. So I didn't want to stick around and wait and them decide to go in the other direction. So I proactively looked for another team. And then, the way things unfolded last season, I had a great season with Code Red. I don't regret it for a second. But, if the Spartans were willing to take me back, I was willing to go back. There was no hard feelings. Those guys are my family. They're my friends. And I'm happy to be back.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are off to a hot start, 2-0. What more could you ask for? And let's not forget, I mean, the viewers out there that might be a little unfamiliar with you, maybe it's their first year in the league. He almost went to the championship game last year with Code Red.
Yeah, we were about a foot away, where if I just ran into the end zone on that last play in regulation, we would have. And then we had a couple of good opportunities in the fourth and fifth overtimes to score. But, it just wasn't meant to be. It actually, to me, wasn't as bad of a loss as the 2 previous years with the Spartans. So it is what it is. If it was easy to get to the championship game, we'd all be there. So it's definitely hard. The guys that have been there earned their way there. And I'm chomping at the bit for my shot, inshallah.
Inshallah. No one likes a loss. I mean, but there is something to be said. You got to kind of hang your hat on taking swag to 4 or the 5th overtime, as you said. I mean, this team, they basically steamrolled through the Union in the championship game, and in their first round game, they steamrolled everyone as well. And then this year, I mean, they're just killing Dime City as well as VS in weeks 1 and 2, respectively. I mean, this team has just been on fire, and you guys are the only team, at least in the past couple swag games, that really gave them a run for their money. So,
yeah, I mean, every team is beatable. They got 2 guys you really got to key in on, one on the offensive side and one on the defensive side. And if you take care of those guys, you give yourself a shot. And with Code Red in that semifinal, we did a pretty good job of that. But the guy on the defensive side did kind of wreck the game a little bit. He was that defensive end. I think it's number 34. That guy was a problem.
That is, by the way, he actually approached me last week and said that we're not giving Swag enough of a shout out here, or maybe only 2 minutes of airtime. That is Mr. Dawiz. They call him, I think his nickname is Wheezy. Dawiz German, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. So there's your shout out. Yeah, he did. Apparently, he wrecked your game as well as he did the same thing in the championship game against Union.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 4 or 5 sacks.
Union couldn't block him. I know Union was missing a big lineman, but on the edges, it wouldn't have made a difference. Well, might have made a difference in terms of the guard being able to chip out and block and help, but he really wrecked that game. And Manny on the offensive side, they couldn't guard him. Corey was just throwing the ball up to him. It was Corey, it was Manny and Wheezy. Those guys, you gotta control those 2 on that team. No disrespect to the rest of the team, but those 2 guys are difference makers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, Dawiz, he's getting more and more love in recent weeks, but he almost didn't even make the All-Star game last year. A lot of people were like, I remember the conversation last year. Some people didn't even know who he was. And I said, this guy has got to get on the All-Star game. He's definitely a game changer. And Manny, I mean, the way he goes up and high points the ball, he's very, very tough to defend. But let's go on because time is important. You got some type of game today, so we want to get you to that. But I want to go back, and this is Spartans and Code Red. These are the 2 teams that you've played on in JAMS. You might have also played on Union many years back as well, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No. The first year I tried to get to the league, it was 3 weeks in. I approached the Union to play with them. But at the time, the Jets kind of needed help. They needed guys to show up. So I got placed over there. And that was fine with me. And, the Union, they've got a QB, and that's really my position. So that probably will never happen until Reggie hangs up the cleats.
Yeah, he's an awesome quarterback. We just played against him this week. Anyway, so let's go on to the tape. Let me just click this, present to everyone. Okay. All right. So hopefully this stays on this all the way through.
Okay.
All right. So 2013 playoff game, round 1. You actually just had a nice scramble on the previous play.
Yep. This is now
down right there.
It's about 3rd down and
let's see.
5 coming up.
Volume. All right. So right here, scramble out a little bit, and I see you pump faking a couple times. And when I watch this play, those pump fakes that you did, I feel like you're one of the better pump fakers in the league. I felt like that froze the defense just enough to buy you a little bit extra time to get – that's Ahmed Kotanani who caught that touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and on that play, number 24 on Code Red was playing zone coverage, and I guess he wasn't supposed to let anybody behind him. And on that little pump, I think his eyes got fixed to me, and Ahmed snuck behind him. So
Yeah.
I was able to get it. I'm actually, when I watch this play, I'm surprised that I got that ball in, because it kind of was a floater without Jay getting over and making a play. Because Jay is probably one of the best safeties in the game. I'm not really sure what was drawing him to the opposite side of the field, but it wasn't a bullet or anything. Kind of lobbed it over number 24, and Ahmed tiptoed down the sideline and got in the end zone.
Awesome play. And, just playing against you a couple times now, I've noticed that I bit on a couple of your pump fakes here or there. And, sometimes you wonder as a defensive lineman, why am I even bothering sometimes? If I get too close to him anyway, if I hit his arm, it's an automatic penalty. So sometimes you wonder, you just got to go for the flag. But nonetheless, if you sell that pump fake good enough, you can get people to jump every now and then.
Yeah, it's hard as a defensive end to stay on your feet and keep your hands down. It's just instincts, jumping up and trying to block a pass and get your arms up. It's definitely hard to do.
It is for sure. Everyone tries to be J.J. Watt out there every now and then. All right, so let's go on to the next play. So conversions are huge in this league.
Yeah.
Right, because there's no kicking a field goal, no extra points. So whether you get a 1 or you get a 2, it's always very important to come away with something. Now, you last year, if I'm not mistaken, you guys won 5 games or so by the tune of 7-6.
It was something like that. Yeah. It was that was our lucky number.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I was kind of just thinking about that. Like, okay, maybe it's not just, luck or something like that. It's got to be, they know how to execute down there. Omar's calling the right plays on the goal line, whatever it is. So going back and watching this game, what's not, Code Red went and scored first, but they didn't get an extra point. You guys, you go out and right here. Now, see, when I watch this play right here,
actually, go ahead.
When I look at it right now, I'm thinking about Tom Brady. I'm thinking of like pro-style quarterback right here, because you're looking to the left, right? And if this is the candy, if I'm not mistaken, you just were saying he's one of the best safeties in the league. Everyone's starting to flow this way. And then all of a sudden, you immediately start to look the other way. You see a guy coming open. That's Omar Kotanani. Back-to-back Kotananis on back-to-back plays. Yeah. Touchdown and the extra point. So what do you see on that play?
I don't remember the exact play that we called there. But my first read was to the left, which I wasn't trying to look him off. Usually in conversions, you expect to have to get the ball out pretty quick. And that's really, this play is a credit to the offensive line. I was able to get to a secondary read there. And usually when that happens, I don't care how good your defensive backs are and your safeties are. If the QB's got time in the pocket, he's going to be able to make throws, or he should be able to find guys open, and it's on him just to make the throws. So it really comes down to the O-line. And, the O-line did a great job giving me a pocket. I could have even stepped up in that pocket. I kind of threw it off my back foot, but I had time, I had space to step up, and it's really a credit to them.
And I have a sneaky suspicion that besides the family members and the fact that you love Spartans and played several years with them, I have a sneaky suspicion that might also be another reason why you chose to go with them, because when I look at the Spartans, they have a great offensive line. And we're going to go to the tape, from last year where we played you guys, and the difference in pass protection is pretty much night and day between the Spartans and Code Red. But you guys were also at a disadvantage, which we'll get to in a moment. But let's see. I want to do one more play from this game. Let's see. All right, I believe this is it.
That's the rushing touchdown.
Okay. So you guys scored a rushing touchdown right here. It's the very next play.
Yeah. They're actually going to call a phantom false start over here. I don't know what they called. we were all kind of, they called it on the tight end on percent, but he really didn't move.
All right. Yeah. So
that's
touchdown on you can call it, I call this like a screen pass. I don't know exactly what you call it.
It's actually a play. It's a play where we have it's actually two plays in one. It's a roll to the right. If I like what I see with the tight end or the receiver, I'll throw it there. But at the same time, we do have a delay where the center and the guard pull out left to block, and I have the option to throw the screen back to the other side. So we went with that option on this play, and he was able to sneak into the corner. So you get the defense flowing one way, and you throw it back to the other side. So it worked out. It worked out.
You do a good job selling those plays. And when I look at Spartans and when I played against you guys with Spartans, I think, wow, these guys are they're the best, or maybe not the best, but definitely one of the top teams when it comes to the screen game, which I think is an underutilized aspect of the game in JAMS. Because, as I've said all the time, it's a big play league, but, there is something to be said with, getting little chunk plays here or there, moving the chains, and you guys do it just about as well as anyone. So, I didn't even realize, as you're telling me, that you also have the option that you can throw it to the tight end or the receiver to the right. So it's a pretty awesome play.
Yeah. And we do have several screens in our playbook. So, yeah, you call them at the right time. A screen is an easy throw to get a big play instead of a hard throw to get a big play. So if you can execute them and you have the offensive linemen that get the timing down right, screen is probably the most effective play in football.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Okay, so right here. Now, for those that are looking at this clip, the naked eye might not tell you at first, but Omar with Code Red actually only has 8 guys playing,
including myself,
including yourself. And one of the guys, I'm not sure by this point in the game, I think it is the case, he actually went down with a season-ending injury, but props to him. He actually finished out the game, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, it was Tamer, and he's playing left guard over here. So Omar is snapping, and Tamer's playing the left guard, and he basically was diagnosed with essentially like a shattered, fractured hand. But he didn't want to come out of the game. Maybe he could at least get in somebody's way, because he didn't want us to play 10 on 7. So even though essentially we were at this point in the game.
It's amazing. And you guys did an amazing effort in this game. You guys lost this game in overtime, which potentially there was a lot of debate whether or not this game should have just ended up in a tie. The Titans actually.
No, the overtime was justified. I mean, I was pushing for Haroun to. Haroun's our captain. I was pushing for him to, we're over the time limit, and the rules say over the time limit, but there was no pressure to get off the field because JAMS had the field for like an extra hour or something on the back end. So the overtime was fine. I felt like we were at such a disadvantage without them, and Dan was putting his body at further risk. I was like, just end it, just end it. I was kind of hoping he would, and I know I voiced some stuff on the forums a few days later, but the overtime was fine. It is what it is.
Oh,
unfortunately, my 2 touchdown passes in this game weren't caught on tape.
I was running through this, and this was an 8 a.m. game, if I remember correctly, or maybe 8:30. But I'm like, you had touchdown passes. It was like an 18-14 game or something like that. I'm like, I can't find them. So I was trying to go through and find some, successful plays. But if you watch this entire clip, you're under duress the entire game. I mean, your offensive line. Go ahead.
You guys were, once you just started rushing like 5 and 6 guys and doubling the 2 outside receivers, it was just like a jailbreak on almost every play.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. And you know what? I felt like just watching this clip, I'm trying to find the touchdown passes. I can't. So I'm trying to find the positives out of this. And I feel like even though when you do have the pressure around you, you managed to keep your eyes downfield, and you kind of got a little bit of a gunslinger mentality. I mean, you threw a lot of interceptions last year. I think you'll be the first to admit that. But you also threw a lot of touchdowns, and you still were pretty productive on offense. And I think part of that is, you don't get flustered when people are around you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't really ever look at the rush. There's a lot of times during the game when we come to the sideline, and like with the Spartans, T-Mac will ask me, where's the pressure coming from? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know, because I'm not watching the rush. I can feel it sometimes coming from the outside. So you step in the pocket. If there's pressure coming up the middle, then there's not much you could do. Well, for a guy like me, because I'm not really a scrambler. But I don't look at the rush. I know where my receivers are running. I know what my first read is. I know where the second guy would be if I have to just turn and throw. And that's just how I play.
I feel like all good quarterbacks play like that. So let's go in and let's watch this play right now. We're going to watch 2 or 3 plays on this drive. So as we said, you can clearly see under pressure. And this is I don't think you'll say that this is the best throw that you ever made before, but it's an awesome catch by the guy. But, you managed to keep your eyes downfield here.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go look at this play. Now, this play is not a very successful one, but the next one, I do like the next one, and I'll say why. So you avoided the pressure here. But here's the next play. And tell me if I'm misreading this, but all right, so you're under pressure. And right here, I feel like you said something like, okay, I'm under constant pressure. Let's invite this pressure upfield. Let's let the ends get upfield, and we'll use their tenacity, their ferocity to their disadvantage, and we'll run a little screenplay right here. And it worked pretty well. Is that what happened right here?
Yeah. Yeah, we called a tight end screen for the tight end on the opposite side. Said, look, you guys count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Just get upfield and start blocking. And Chris come across the formation and slip behind him and just get whatever you could get. We actually ran in this game, just because of the circumstances with only having so many guys. We ran essentially like the same 5 or 6 plays over and over and over again. A lot of fade routes on the outside. We tried that screen 3 or 4 different times during the game. There were 3 or 4 different variations of it. Which tight end got it, and a couple of tight end seam passes, and it was just the same really 5 plays over and over and over again that we were running. We really had no choice, but that was the intent of the play. You guys were rushing hard, block for a sec, let them loose, and maybe we can get some numbers in our favor downfield.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys would have gotten the first down, but I think he was actually, you could see the ref is about to pull out the flag right there and throw the flag. It's actually because he lowered his shoulder on the play right there.
Yeah, so they called the foul on both guys. They called the foul for the tackle and a foul for lowering the shoulder. So they just kind of offset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our tape portion of the interview, but I want to ask you some more questions. All right, so we asked you about the team switch. We asked you about what inspired you to do the power rankings. Said you did an awesome job with that. But, I played for 3 full seasons in JAMS now. Never really had too much success from a winning standpoint. But I'll say in my observations, when I watch the good teams in this league, it all starts with the quarterback position. People always, there's always good leaders on every team. I've had very good leaders on many of my teams. But I think that leadership really needs to start with the quarterback. And, to a certain extent, teams are only as good as their quarterback. And that's not to say a team can't ever be good if they don't have a good quarterback. But usually if a team's good, they have a good quarterback. We saw last year, you guys almost made it to the championship with Code Red, despite, you guys had attendance issues on a weekly basis, despite the fact you didn't have the most impressive offensive line. You had guys go down season-ending injuries. You still made it very far. Spartans, I think you guys made it to the semifinals as well and played good in the semifinal games. You've been on very good teams throughout your tenure in this league. How, as a quarterback, because I feel like a quarterback has got to be the guy that he's really the foundation of keeping a team organized, keeping everyone together, manufacturing the plays that are going to be run. You can't just have a quarterback and just give him the plays. I feel like the quarterback's got to be the mastermind behind developing those plays. And I feel like, at least from what I've seen some of my years in JAMS, it's been the opposite, and we haven't had that success. How do you feel about this? How do you keep your team organized? What would you say to that?
I would agree with a lot of what you said. Quarterback's got to be able to command the huddle. You only want one voice in the huddle. And, I know the type of plays I want to run. I know the downs and distances of which plays go with which, down and distance and which scenario. And you're right, my playbook is completely drawn up by me. I take suggestions, obviously, from some of the guys, like for Spartans. My running back is Sam, the center, T-Mac, and Ahmed, basically the tri-captains of the team. We go over the playbook. We go over the adjustments. We put it in. We practice them as a team for the most part. We haven't had like a full practice yet this year, but we've had a practice where just the line shows up, and we've had practice where the receivers show up. And then we got a scrimmage in before the season too. But so I know the design of the plays. I know which plays I want to call. And in the huddle, there's really only one voice. And I don't want to hear a second voice in the huddle because, unless I ask somebody, all right, what do you think we should do? Or I ask T-Mac, what do you see on the line? What kind of runs can we get? Should we go up on the edge or up the middle? Or what are you guys seeing? How fast is the rush coming? I might ask little things like that in the huddle, but as soon as I call out a play, everybody's on board. Nobody says anything. Nobody comes in and say, look, just throw me the ball. You do that, you're going to go to the sideline. We got plenty of guys that can come in and play in your spot. So everybody knows their role. And yeah, it's one voice. You got to have command out there of the huddle. And, if you have a QB, in my opinion, who is looking to other guys for plays, it's really not a big confidence booster, or it doesn't really look from a team perspective. Like I could imagine guys in the huddle saying, "Oh man, this guy doesn't even know what he wants to run. He probably doesn't even know where to go with the football." But these guys know that these are my plays. Each receiver is running a route for a reason. Even if he's not getting the ball, he has a job to do on the play. So like for instance, we have a tight end out play where the receiver on the right has got to get his corner out of the way. So in week 1 against Dime City, our receiver got jammed to the inside. So when the tight end out, that the play was there, but the cornerback for the outside receiver, because he was on the outside, because he forced receiver inside, he saw the play coming and almost picked the ball off. If the receiver is able to get to the outside there, that's a big play with our tight end. He's a fast guy. If he catches the ball, he could turn it up the sideline. So it's things like that where I know the purpose of each play. I know where I want every player to be. And, I have my own playbook. I brought it with me, the Code Red. I modified it and brought it back to the Spartans, and everybody's on board with it. So it is, you got to have a QB who commands the huddle, who knows what he wants to do with the ball and is confident. You don't have to be the greatest QB, but guys want somebody who's confident leading the team down the field.
Absolutely. I think the leadership and the mental aspect of it, is much more important than I would say the physical, even though the physical is really important, which segues right into my next question. I look at you as one of the more headier, one of the more football smart QBs in the league. So my question to you is, from a mental preparation standpoint, what do you do to constantly improve your game?
So actually last year was really good for me. I didn't have time in the pocket. I had time, but I didn't have the luxury of the line I had with the Spartans the 2 previous seasons. So I had to get the ball out a lot quicker, and I really had to do a good job of stepping into my throws and putting zip on the ball, which, I noticed when I was playing with the Spartans the previous 2 seasons, a lot of my balls didn't have too much zip on them. I mean, I threw a good pass, knew what I wanted to do with the ball. But I think Jay really that into me. He's like, look, man, just step into the throw and fire it in. So that really helped me grow, I think, as a quarterback. I think this year my throws have been a lot better than they were in previous seasons. I'm stepping into everything. I could get into bad habits sometimes where I throw off my back foot and the ball doesn't have enough on it, especially on deep throws. So that's one thing. And I don't know if it's anything mentally, but I try to give myself reminders. So I have a specific playbook for myself. For my risk coach, I have little notes and reminders to myself, of things I need to remember on the plays that aren't on anybody else's coach. Just so I don't forget, because you can get really caught up in the game and just something as simple as calling out the mic on every play. I do a lot. I call out the mic for running plays, and I don't want to tip off that it's a running play. So on the passing plays, I have a little note to myself on each passing play. So when I call it, I see call out the mic, just so the defense isn't tipped off. So it's things like that. I help myself in that manner, in that perspective. And I mean, I'm of the opinion a lot of people can throw, but not a lot of people can play quarterback. I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
It's definitely what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's IQ or smarts or just being comfortable around sometimes a hectic pocket. It could be all those things. But it is what it is. I don't know.
All right. Well, last question. So one of the things that I'm sure probably helps you, kind of get your mechanics down, helps you realize how you should step into throws, is probably watching the professionals do it. The guys that get paid millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to throw the football. So who are your favorite quarterbacks, professionals to watch? I know you're a Giants fan. You're probably an Eli Manning fan.
I love Eli. Eli doesn't get enough credit, man. He's made some really nice throws the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, just look to the Super Bowl. I mean, the Tyree catch. I mean, the fact that Eli didn't go down there, you got to give props to him on that. But the Mario Manning hand pass, oh my gosh, amazing.
That was great. But QB, I mean, I actually get more out of watching myself play because I can see everything I do wrong, like throwing off my back foot or not getting to step into throws. But as far as NFL QBs, I mean, the obvious ones, I really like watching Aaron Rodgers play. I wish I could run like him. I don't like the fact that the refs and a lot of people in this league call me Big Ben. I'm not really a fan of his. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching I enjoy watching football. It's not necessarily a QB thing. I appreciate how good those guys are. I mean, those guys, they're there for a reason. They put in a ton of work and they're really, really good. Even the guys, the third stringers. I mean, so I just like watching football, man. I don't really study the QBs.
Well, I'll be honest, as a football, observer, fan, whenever I'm watching a game, I pay more closely attention to the defensive line because that's what I do. And I want to watch the pros, the guys who are the best at it, do it. So I can only imagine that you watching football in general, of course you watch the entire game, but I'd imagine you pay a little bit closer attention to the quarterback position. Is that a fair statement?
I don't really think it is. I don't think that's true. I think I like to watch linebackers. I like to see how they're reading the plays. I like watching the mics the most.
All right. Well, we know you got to get going. Thank you so much for your time, and we definitely look forward to playing you, and we look forward to your power rankings coming back.
And inshallah, I'll do that. I actually got a couple minutes if you want to go over the picks or game or something real quick.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. Hold on. So
yeah, I'm down.
Let me find how I can get my screen share back on. Hold on 1 second. All right. So here is what I have so far. My power rankings, you let me know where you disagree with me. I got swag at the number 1 spot. Why would I not?
Yeah.
You know, they trounced 2 teams 2 weeks in a row. Dime City, a playoff team, semifinal team, just got stomped last week, and I had the pleasure of spectating that game, and it was not pretty if you're a Dime City player.
I'm in agreement. Swag and Union on top. Yep.
Swag and Union on top. Union coming off a fresh 6-0 win over my team, the Gladiators. It was a hard-fought battle. Gladiators actually scored at the end to tie it up, but the kid was called for flag guarding. You got to play within the confines of the rules, but nonetheless, Union, stout defense, and they know how to convert in the red zone. So they're my number 2 team until I see otherwise.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Do we have to have Knights at 3 after what they did to the Hurricanes?
You know, it's their second season now, and I actually haven't really seen them play at very much. I know they looked pretty good in the playoff game against Dime City last year. And hey, anytime you beat the Hurricanes and you hold them to 0, I think you've earned the right to be up there. So I would agree that you could slot them in at number 3 right now.
Yeah,
I think prior to this, I'd have to go back and check, but the Spartans were the only team to shut out the Canes prior to that.
Wow.
And that was 2 years ago. Yeah. But the Canes were severely shorthanded in that game. But I don't know who was there this week, but anytime the Canes are held to 0, it's an impressive feat. So I would agree with the Knights at number 3.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the Canes are one of the best teams in this league. No doubt about that. But me and Horace said first week, Father Time, undefeated. You have to wonder, is it starting to catch up to the Canes? Because the Knights are a decently relatively young team, on average younger than the Canes. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see. Hurricanes, I got them at 4. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, I don't really know yet. Yeah, I would keep them at 4. I think everybody's. I mean, I don't know the circumstances around the 12-0 loss. I know that it goes up. I'd have to check it out. But yeah, I mean, the Canes are still a really solid team. They got a little speedster on the team now who looks really good. So I would agree with them at 4.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to watch that tape yet either, so I can't really comment further, but definitely going to dive into that sometime today. I had a feeling that you were thinking for a second when I asked you, should the Canes be at number 4? You were probably thinking, should the Spartans be at number 4? Should my team be at number 4? So I got it. Go ahead.
I think right now you could make an argument. The Canes and the Spartans are kind of both in the same class. Whether you have them 4-5 or 5-4, to me, it's splitting hairs. So I would give the nod to the Canes. They do have more points than us. So yeah, Canes 4. We'll take 5, no problem. We need to put up more points on offense. 6-6 isn't going to do it when we start playing some of the teams that we're not going to be able to shut out. So we need to score some points until we prove that we can get back into that groove. I would keep the Canes ahead of us.
All right, sounds fair. Dime City. In my mind, it looks like they're not playing as well as they were playing last year. They had a new kid in at quarterback. Believe he played for them the first week. I'm not positive about that. He started playing last week, wasn't putting up points, and all of a sudden they went back to Mr. Casey Dos Santos, their captain, who ended up taking over the quarterback reins last season as well. So is he pulling the plug too quick? That's what I'm wondering.
I wasn't aware of that. I know against us, the guy they envisioned playing QB week 1 wasn't there. So maybe he wasn't there last week as well. And they pulled the backup, put Casey back in. I don't know the circumstances around that. But, I mean, Dime City is a good team. They have a really good defense. That's a good squad. And they just got a really tough schedule early. They actually have the Canes coming up this week. They could very easily fall to 0-3. But I wouldn't sleep on them and count them out.
Not at all. Not at all. Code Red, they're 2-0, but I still don't see that they're as good as Dime City. I don't see that they're as good as Hurricanes or any of these other teams. But Code Red, nonetheless, is solid. They've only given up 6 points in 2 games. You like them at this spot?
Right now, I mean, I might bump them ahead of Dime City, but yeah, I don't think they should go any lower. I might put the the only team beneath them that I might put in front of them right now would be Boonton, but that will take care of itself this weekend.
Absolutely. The two of them square up. Gladiators, my squad, 2 tough losses, played the Union. I guess when you lose 6-0, I mean, you're never happy that you don't put up any points on the board. Came close to putting some points up. Wasn't a blowout loss. I went and lost to Union about 32-0 last year. So I've been on that end when I played them. So this is the first time I ever played them closely. But nonetheless, a loss is a loss. And now we have 2 of them, 0-2. What can you say?
Who's playing quarterback for you guys?
So the quarterback of the Gladiators, it's actually been 2 different guys, 2 different weeks. This week, it will be someone named JAMS Holloway. He played quarterback for Kane. He's about 6'5", has a really nice arm, good leadership ability. Week 1 was someone named Patrick Ferrara. He played quarterback for Clifton High. But it's going to be JAMS against this week, and
Okay.
I'm definitely confident. I'm confident.
You guys have a lot. You guys have a well-rounded team. I'm surprised you're not putting up points. So with this QB, I mean, I think you guys will turn that around this weekend for sure.
Oh, God willing. Boonton, you wanted to possibly slide them ahead of Code Red. I don't think so. Boonton, I don't even know what they're doing at quarterback. They've been playing Brandon Bowen, who is an all-star, great player in his own right, but...
So I saw Boonton play the first half against the Hurricanes in week 1. I think Kevin King was playing quarterback and he sprained his ankle, so Cootie jumped in because Brandon wasn't there. Against us, we were expecting to see Shake at quarterback, but Brandon was playing quarterback. So I'm not really sure who the QB is, if Kevin comes back, if he gets over his ankle injury, if he's going to play quarterback or Brandon. But, I mean, if they don't have somebody that can get the ball downfield to Brandon, then he's got to play quarterback. I mean, against us, he made some really nice throws. Our cornerbacks just made some really nice plays, but he could throw the ball, and you don't want him to get out of the pocket either. I mean, he's the most dangerous guy in the league if he gets out of the pocket, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it several times, and just watching it on film, when this guy hits the sideline, he's gone. Yeah. I mean, just those sweeps that he runs off the edges, he's just dangerous in open field. So I definitely would agree with that. So I haven't seen it from the throwing perspective, as you're saying, but
he made some throws, man. He had some really nice throws to Brandon and to Cootie. It's just those were the only 2 threats, so we knew what was coming. We knew who to guard. But Jay wasn't there. If he was there, things might have shook down differently. But Brandon can play, man. He can pretty much play any position he wants to. He's that good.
He's a baller. He's also a very good safety as well. Okay, I have VS at number 10. This is a team, they lost a lot, and it doesn't look like they've really replaced it. They haven't put up a single point yet this season. So I'm not very optimistic about them. However, I do think that they're slightly better than GPAC, who is another team that, hasn't put up a point yet either this season, and they got beaten pretty bad by Union week 1. They had a bye last week, so they've had 2 weeks to regroup. You hope that can be enough for them to at least put up, a fight or upset the Gladiators. But I think GPAC is the last spot. You agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the only places we're different is probably F through I. F, G, H, and I probably switch up a little bit, but for the most part, I have the same rankings as you do.
Cool. So let's go on to the pick'em, and let's keep this rapid fire. I know you got to get out, as do I. So the Gladiators versus GPAC. I'm not going to comment on this one. It's my game. I don't know if that's fair for me to say, but why don't you go ahead and pick this game?
I think that's fair. I never pick my own games usually, but I would say I don't see why you guys wouldn't score points up against them. I think GPAC is still trying to find themselves. I mean, at minimum, I would say 13-0.
All right. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm actually hoping for more than that, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Inshallah. Just want to get the W. All right, Code Red versus Boonton Bounty Hunters. I'm picking Code Red to win this one, 12-6. How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna go the other way. I think Boonton's due for a win. I think they got too many players on that team to start off 0-3. I think Code Red has had, has done a good job. You beat the team in front of you. But I think I think Boonton has the personnel to match up with Zach. So I don't think he's gonna be able to catch those jump balls like he's been catching the first 2 weeks. And
oh my gosh, man.
I'd say he had another crazy one in the corner last weekend on Friday night. So a crazy jump ball. He just went up there and got it. Nobody jumps higher than him in the league right now. But I would give Boonton the edge here. I'd probably say something close, maybe like 8-6.
8-6. Okay. Yeah. All right. Swag versus the Union. Correct me if I'm wrong. The way I see it is Swag has been the one team that has Union's number in recent years, and I don't see it changing. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but Swag pulls this one off, 13-6.
Yeah, I think Union's going to have a hard time covering Manny. I know they made a pretty good adjustment during the championship game where they got a guy with height on him. They got to jam him at the line every play. Don't let him get a clean look off the ball, and then you could jam him at the line and then have a taller guy cover the backside. So, because Corey throws it up to him, whether he's open or not, and if they could do that with Manny, they have a shot. But Swag's got so many other weapons. This is another one of those, you mentioned it earlier, those father time things. We'll see Union. We'll see how. I know they still got that championship game video probably playing on repeat right now, and it's hard for me to pick against the Union because they're just gamers and their family. But I think Swag will come away with this one. A score. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be low scoring. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game. I'd say like maybe 8-6 again, something like that. Yeah.
It's a popular score with you. Okay. Knights versus VS. I'm going to say 3 weeks in a row, 0-3 for VS, 0 points, 3 weeks in a row. The Knights has an awesome defense, and VS right now has no offense. Yeah,
I think you're probably right. Knights putting up 12 points against the Canes. The VS has got to get pressure with Vic on the outside edge. If they don't, they're in trouble. And I think the Knights would make the adjustment if he does get early pressure. And it could be more than 21-0. Maybe 28. Maybe a couple 2-point conversions in there makes it 30.
Omar, do you know if Vic is playing this year? Is he has he played in games?
I have seen him. He's the defensive end, the really diesel guy, right?
Number 17, I know who he is.
Yeah,
he's short, super quick, very quick off the line of scrimmage, very elusive, but also has power. He wasn't healthy last season from what I understand. So
he's been there. He's been there this season. Yes. They need to get if Dave shows up, I know Dave Marriott, he's not always there. If he shows up, they need to get him the ball as much as possible. That's their only shot.
Yeah, he had a down year as well last year. I know Dave pretty well. See him at the gym decently often. Okay, let's go to our last game, Dime City Hurricanes, and let's wrap this baby up. I got the Hurricanes winning 13-6. Haven't seen the offense out of Dime City. I feel like Hurricanes is the better team right now. I had them ranked over them in the power rankings. Hurricanes 13-6. It'll be a close game.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Dime City's off to an 0-3 start, and I believe they have the Union coming up after that too, so they might be in for a real rough start. Yeah, I see the Canes putting up some points, especially after a week where they were shut out. I think they're going to come ready to play. I think Dime City got them on the wrong week. I know last year Dime City was down early to them 12-0 and made a comeback and won that game behind Casey. So I wouldn't doubt it if they could turn it around. But I would say I would give the Canes probably an edge by 2 touchdowns here, maybe 19-7, 19-6, something like that.
Yeah, one thing you can say about Dime City is they are not complacent at all. I mean, they went and made some big cuts last year, some guys that can play. They went and got rid of them. And, you know, Casey's on that constant pursuit to find a quarterback and stuff. They're definitely a competitive bunch. So I wouldn't put it past that. You know, I'm thinking like, okay, obviously the game of the week's got to be Union Swag, the top 2 teams. But I'm thinking like, you know, this is a pretty good game itself too. So, you know, anyway, Omar, thank you so much for doing this. Great interview. Love talking football with you. And, you know, maybe we can do it again sometime.
Yep.
And
my pleasure. And anytime I'm down. Anytime I can help the league out in any way, whether it's supplementing these interviews or getting back up on the power rankings. I love this league. I love football, and I'm more than happy to do it.
Well, you definitely better get back on those power rankings because we missed them and we want to see them again. And all right, man. Have a good game. You guys play which day?
We have a bye this weekend.
Oh, you have a bye this week.
So, and next weekend is off. So we have a 3-week vacation from football, which I do not like, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, good talking to you.
Right.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you, bro.
Alaikum assalam. Take care, guys.